Mm-hmm.
My rate of learning is accelerating like dramatically because I have to learn to build stuff. And I would give it maybe a 5 or 10x increase in speed when you physically build stuff.
That doesn't feel right to me.
That's because you've never built anything, so you don't know.
It's not that. My question is, what is it that you're learning? So I won't deny that you're learning new things and you're learning them quickly. The question I'm wondering is, what is it that you're learning?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast. This is where we discuss current events, personal growth, and any other random topic that crosses our minds. Our goal is to have a meaningful discussion that help us to see the topics we discuss more clearly. Our hope is we can help you expand your self-awareness, develop your critical thinking, and learn to be less reactive to the world around you. And most importantly, remember, be curious. If you like what you hear, like this video and subscribe to the channel. If you have any feedback, please leave a comment. We want to hear what you think. Chris, happy Saturday. Podcast Saturday. Here we go. We're recording this
Saturday.
That's right.
Yeah, couldn't do Friday. I was flying back from training yesterday, so I was actually on the other side of the country. I was in Florida.
Oh, how about that, actually? Whoa, that's a long flight. You like flew over the top, probably not over the top of my head, but a little south,
No,
probably.
well, let's see, because I couldn't get a direct flight to Orange County from Orlando, so I ended up having to go through Charlotte. And with all the cancellations of flights yesterday, I was kind of worried that I wouldn't make it home.
Yeah, how is it traveling with the government being shut down? Because I'm coming out to California next week, actually.
Well, the TSA is working fine. We got through pretty quick. I do have TSA pre-check, so that that's a little faster. But I didn't see any real problems there. But I don't know. It seemed pretty much okay. The airports were crowded, heavily crowded. So I did notice both of my flights were packed. There were no open spaces. So
Okay, so hopefully travel will be fine. You know, I'm actually getting annoyed that the whole government shutdown thing.
Okay, so what's it doing to you? How's it affecting you?
Well, it's affecting me in the sense of travel, just creating, uncertainty, actually.
Yes.
But then apparently this is like the longest one ever. And basically it's like two children throwing temper tantrums saying, no, it's my way or we're just gonna screw up like millions of people, actually.
That's how all of these have been. And the second longest one now was in the first Trump presidency, and it's the problem. Another problem. The constraint is that they need to get 60 votes out of the Senate to pass.
Yeah.
And a simple majority won't do it. But in some ways, it's a good thing. That means that one party who's just has 51 votes can't just force through whatever they want. But this is really the only tool that the weaker party has, and it's a hammer. It's not a tool, right? It's a sledgehammer. It's like, we'll break everything if you don't give us something.
Yeah, it bugs me at a great deal because, and I'm equally bugged by both sides. This is not like I'm on the Republican side because I'm typically a Republican, but this is so annoying because I understand if you want to negotiate big things, right? Everybody's got their whole things. But to completely shut down the government, to stop basic functionalities over things, that's just arrogant and childish and all sorts of things all put together,
I was talking to this Canadian guy. He thinks it's the funniest thing.
Yeah, exactly.
The Americans allow this to happen. Says, in their country, the government continues to operate at the existing budget level, right? Because that was approved before.
Right.
Or if they can't come to an agreement, they dissolve their cabinet because they're elected officials, but they have a cabinet that's put together, right? It's a parliamentary style, and the cabinet's the one that does all this kind of administrative work. And if they can't come to a conclusion, they dissolve it, and then they make a new government. Basically,
see, that is beautiful because it says, look, if you guys can't figure this out,
we're going to rejigger the playing pieces right now.
Everybody, and we're going to get a whole new team to come in.
Yeah. And they're not technically fired because they're still technically elected officials. But the idea is like, all right, you're no longer the head of whatever you were the head of, right? And we're going to put someone else in there who can get the work done.
Gee, that's a free market, man. That's just, look, You got to meet minimum requirements to stay employed.
But this is the problem with it. Well, this isn't the problem. This is a problem with the way we've implemented a two-party system. It's one or the other. There's like no nuance in between.
Well,
right?
remember,
so all these parliamentary governments, most of them have multiple parties. Sometimes there's no strong enough party that they have to build coalitions of smaller parties, which means they have to compromise all the time.
Well, and the founders argued against this two-party thing. They're like, "That's just a bad idea. Don't do that." Right? Just have one party called the American Party. That's it. And maybe inside of that, a little left, a little right, whatever. But it's like we're all Americans. We're not. I don't know. It's so frustrating. Anyways. No point talking about that.
It's us and them. Us and them always wins.
Yeah. I got a few other things to talk about.
Okay.
So last episode we talked about building stuff.
Yes.
So I'm like starting to build stuff, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
My rate of learning is accelerating like dramatically because I have to learn to build stuff. And I would give it maybe a 5 or 10x increase in speed when you physically build stuff.
That doesn't feel right to me.
That's because you've never built anything, so you don't know.
It's not that. My question is, what is it that you're learning? So I won't deny that you're learning new things and you're learning them quickly. The question I'm wondering is, what is it that you're learning?
How to build robot fingers, how physics relates to that. It's sort of like you've got all these different concepts, and by physically trying to build something, they all come together in a way that's not just mental, like it's like your body learns. It's basically Jiu-Jitsu. Everything's Jiu-Jitsu. It all comes back to that same concept, so you can feel it, you can like experience it, like you learn not just mentally, but with every part of your being.
It seems to me like it's more of a synthesis of knowledge and understanding.
Yeah, it's going to action, right? Exactly.
So the reason why I'm calling it out is because you can learn stuff in multiple ways. You can learn different kinds of things. You can, and I would say that someone who sits there and reads 10 books a day is probably going to speed up their learning, right? And so what I'm getting at here is I'm not going to deny you're learning stuff quickly, and you're seeing a lot of value in it. But I think it's a synthesis of information that allows you towards a specific goal that you have in mind.
Well, here's my argument. My argument is if you actually learn something and then implement it, that you're going to learn significantly faster. Like we're not talking at 20%, like multi-orditudes faster, maybe 5-10 times as fast, actually. And the information goes in.
A metric on what?
On learning, on how the stuff actually relates.
That's different. You got to then, how stuff relates is a very specific thing you're learning. Learning is just learning. Just breathing every day, you're probably learning something. So I need you to be very specific. You're saying that you're getting a lot of value out of the things that you're learning by doing it this way. Yeah. You're thinking that it's very fast. I don't know that it's fast in just that you've never done this particular combination before. Right? Well, by doing things in combination in a way you've never done it before, you're figuring things out, you're putting things together that did not connect before. You're synthesizing information, you're coming up with new ideas and thoughts. That to me is not just learning. There's creativity, there's other aspects, there's a rejiggering of your mindset and your understanding of the world around you. I think those are things that are highly valuable that you're picking up on, but it's not just learning. Learning is kind of a vague yet vast term about.
I call that learning, actually.
It is a kind of learning, sure.
Well, that's what I mean.
But I'm not going to give you that you're learning 5 times faster than someone else who learns something else in another way. I'm going to just say you're learning something new, incredible, and it's great. And I think, and it's towards a specific goal, which I think also is something you value. Because it's like you feel like you're moving towards that goal, then you feel like you're accelerating towards the goal. I can give you all of those things, but for you to make the claim you're learning 5 times faster, I will not agree with that.
Oh, actually, okay. So then why?
So again, semantics here.
Why do all the most high-performing teams in the world, SEALs, CIA, anybody do this? They teach the concept and they go, now go do it.
Because they want to learn that thing.
Well, yeah. I mean, everybody wants to learn that thing.
You said you're learning 5 times faster. I'm saying you're more learning towards a thing. And you're getting there and you feel like you're getting there more quickly. I'm just saying learning. You just said learning vastly, vaguely, like learning. I'm like, learning is learning. Well, learning, you know,
learn is to have new information. Actually,
is it? You're actually synthesizing. You're taking existing information and putting it together and coming up with new thoughts. So is that new information? Is that a better understanding of how things fit together? Is that new? Or is that just rejiggering the information you had to have a better understanding?
So here we go. Learning, this is by definition, right? Learning is the relatively permanent change in a person's knowledge or behavior that is a result of experience.
Mm-hmm.
It involves acquiring knowledge through skills and processes like direct experience, observation, and active thought, and is essential for adapting to future situations. So there we go. Yeah, that's learning. That's what I define learning as.
Okay.
Perfect. So I'm saying that process. So I'm saying learning is significantly faster when you
disagree.
integrate.
100% disagree.
Oh, we'll build a case for it then.
I think what you've put in place of this is that you're moving towards a goal faster because of the information you've got is specific towards that goal. The learning you've got is specific towards that goal. I don't think your learning is any faster. You learn at the rate you learn. The more stuff you do, yeah, you're going to learn more stuff. But it doesn't have to be building to do it. There's multiple ways for you to take in information and to process it and to put it together.
Oh, see, I think that's
and what you're saying
wrong,
is by doing things physically, you're learning fast. I don't think your speed of learning is any different. It's your learning is now focused in a different area, and it's things that you haven't had in the past. So you're picking them up and you're putting them together. If you give me a new topic, I don't care what the topic is, and I'm starting from zero, I'm learning very fast because everything is brand new. It has nothing to do with the fact that you're building something. It has to do with you're doing something new, you're doing it towards a goal, and you're feeling progress towards that goal. That's what I'm saying is you're experiencing, and I'm not going to deny that. But what I am saying is your blanket comment that building learns faster, I disagree with.
Oh, okay. So I think you're 100% wrong, actually, in that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think when you actually get some information and then you try to apply it, the learning is significantly faster.
If the goal is to apply that information in some way, yes.
Well, yeah, but the other stuff is pointless. Like, what's the point then? There's zero value.
You're adding a value system to it. You're actually applying a value system to what you're learning. I'm not. I'm just saying learning as this concept of learning, this idea of learning stuff. So you've built in a bias saying that you're learning towards a particular goal. I need to be able to implement this, to use it in some way, to apply it in some way. And I understand your point of that's valuable, but you're layering that into your value structure about what learning is. And I'm saying I'm not doing that. Does that make sense?
No, 0 sense.
Okay, and I think this is, again, I'm trying to look at learning as a concept, not as a...
Well, how do you define learning then?
Oh, I don't define it any different than what you read.
Okay.
Right? But your idea that that the building is what made you learn faster is the thing that I disagree with. I think the speed you learn is at how much do you already know on a topic and how much do you not already know on a topic. Is it brand new? So everything you hear is new and therefore you're taking in a lot of information. Then the speed of learning is very high. The more you know on a topic, the speed of learning slows down because you already are an expert in the topic. Then the things that you learn are about putting things together in different ways. And there's different ways to put information together. You can do it just by thinking about it. You can do it like you're doing by actually trying to apply it by making something physical. There's a lot of ways to do that. And so it's not about the speed at which you learn. You're just picking up on things that are valuable towards your end goal of making something.
No. The reason I'm making the thing is to learn. That's the point of it. I'm not trying to get a goal. The goal is to make the thing, but the ultimate goal is to understand at a deeper level, to learn at a deeper level about how these concepts apply. So now you see things. Like in my mind, there's like levels of learning. There's like you
Sure.
can know about something, and then you can know how to do it, and then at some point you develop just a deep understanding of it, deeper than if you never actually did any movement or any execution to it.
Okay, deeper. Define deeper here.
Deeper has a more, I'm saying you understand it better. You understand it at like a deep
Define better.
level.
It will be different. You will understand it differently. I don't disagree with any of that. But why is that better?
Because you can influence the world. You can build other things.
So again, you've got a goal here, and the ability to apply that seems to be
Always
what you
applying. Yeah,
agree.
if you don't apply it, then it's
okay.
pointless. Actually.
So
Zero.
you're applying this idea of applying knowledge towards the ability to influence the world as your metric of how valuable learning is.
I can't think of a single example where that wouldn't be true. All you got to do is come up with one example that'll break my whole argument.
Scott, I just want to know how the world works. I really don't really care about applying a lot of the information I have.
So here's what I'm going to argue. You may think you know how the world works, but you have such a cursory view of it.
Yeah. Okay, I get that, right?
There's
But the
no
point being,
depth to it, right?
my point being, if I don't have a goal of trying to make the world in a certain way necessarily, and if
I'm not talking
that's
about
not
your
the
goal.
case,
I'm talking about the general
not the case,
concept that if you apply, you'll learn faster. That was my argument.
and that's what I disagree with. You'll learn faster towards a goal. You won't learn fast. It doesn't mean you learn faster. The more things you try, the more experiences you have, that will speed up learning. And when you're doing something and trying to build something and you're failing at it and you see it doesn't work, those are more challenges to you. Those are more experiences you have. Those are more hurdles for you to overcome. And every one of those is a learning experience. But they don't have to be building things to do that, is what I'm saying. You can come up with hurdles all kinds of ways.
Yeah, no, I 100% disagree. I think if you just know a concept in your head but can't apply it, you don't even really know it. That's all. Like, let's say, for instance, here's an example, right? And this is something I've really come into grips with this. So this is what I'm learning from my Navy SEAL guy. He's like, you may know everything about eating well, exercising, how to optimize your body. But if you don't actually do it, you know nothing. It's 100% worthless. So you haven't learned anything.
Yeah.
That's like kind of a underlying premise from a high performing individual.
I get that. And from the concept of wanting to be a high performing person and to get outcomes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But if the goal is not to be high performing and have outcomes, then so to me there's the thing, knowledge, learning, and then there's the application of knowledge and learning. So a person with less knowledge and learning who's really good at applying will get more done.
Well, would you get more done? Yeah, get more done. And we say when we get more done, it can influence reality in the real world.
Right. So if your goal is to get more done,
thing.
then you're right. The action of doing becomes incredibly important. And the level of knowledge is actually, there's a threshold at which you have enough.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
Right? But to me, that's not what we're talking about learning. In this scenario, the learning is to apply. Is in your mind is to move towards an application of that learning towards a goal.
Yeah. Otherwise, I think there's zero value in it. It's worthless.
Okay, and that's fine. All right.
And in fact, I'm saying,
but you making a blanket statement that doing something speeds up learning to me is like that's not what speeds up learning. Learning is just putting yourself in a situation where you've got challenges and new experiences, and you have to struggle with knowledge that you didn't have before, information you didn't have before, and you need to process that and put it into your understanding of things. And that could be through doing things. That could be through talking to people. That could be through meditation and thought. That could be through prayer. That could be through reading. I think it could be through a number of ways. Anytime you challenge yourself, you give yourself an opportunity to learn something. And so you're just putting yourself in a challenging situation, but I got to figure this out. So you have learned a lot of stuff. But a blanket statement saying that building makes learning go faster, I disagree with.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Okay. I think you're 100% wrong, actually. I think pretty much any high performing individual would say you're 100% wrong.
Again,
But
high performing individuals, Scott. The world isn't all high performing individuals. I'm talking about the concept of learning, not the application of learning.
Yeah, but I think you're missing a massive piece to it. And you think you know, but you don't actually know until you actually do. And then you know at a deeper level. There's one thing about thinking you know something and another thing that you actually know. Because
Yes,
the way we test that is like,
but
okay, let's test it. Let's put some pressure up.
what is the thing that you know? So when you're doing something and you're able to influence the outcome,
Yeah.
what that to me is not the same thing as someone who just knows something.
No, it's very different. It's way better. It's way more valuable.
Okay, but I'm not measuring the same thing there. I'm measuring the ability to have an outcome versus learning and knowledge.
Well, yeah, but you have more knowledge, right? Is what I'm saying. It's like at a deeper level.
You have more specialized knowledge.
I don't think specialized is the right word. It
Specialized
could
knowledge.
be. I mean, it could
Understanding
be
how your servos and motors work together is a very and it may apply in a number of situations, but it is specific. Yeah. It is specific to certain situations. You're not going to apply that necessarily to philosophy or religion or anything like that, right? It's generally the idea is that's knowledge that's more towards affecting a specific kind of outcome that you're looking for.
Yeah, but here's the thing you're missing though, right? Is so when you understand that, and if you've reasoned up from first principles, actually, what you start to see now is you start to see, oh, that's just one tree limb growing off of a trunk. And now I understand every tree limb if I understand the trunk. I just get to practice it in one instance.
But Scott, if what you're doing is understanding all the trunks in the world, then you're just looking at it at a different level. You're seeing how things connect at the earth level as opposed to at the tree level.
Yeah, well, that's ultimately what you want to do until you hit bottom.
Right? So someone who's stuck in, I'll call it higher order thinking. I don't know if that's the right way to phrase it. May understand the forest and not the tree. Whereas someone who's going into how to implement, how to get stuff done, may understand the tree. So you're placing value on the ability to influence the outcome at the tree level. I don't know that necessarily is better than someone who understands the forest.
Well, no, you have to understand both. But I'm saying when you understand the tree, it's way easier to understand the forest because you reason up from small things. Because if you just look at overall, you don't understand what's happening underneath. That's why you always start.
I understand your argument. I don't necessarily make the connection that you're making there.
Because what I'm saying is if you don't understand how things work underneath the hood, you're going to have, at the very best, a radically incomplete picture of how things work. And then you won't be able to apply that to different subjects.
But if there are other people who know how those things work, why can't I just let them do that and I'll stay big picture?
Well, you can if you want. And I'm not talking about that.
To me, if I come up with the core idea and then say, I know you're smart at this, figure out how to make this work. Isn't that, then I don't have to understand the individual things. I understand it can work that way, that someone will find a way to make it work.
So this goes back to leadership, actually. So the more your leader knows about a subject, the better leader he'll be, and the more he'll get out of his team.
I think the more your leader knows from breadth, not from depth.
You got to know both. You got to know a little bit about things. Like, so look at Elon Musk, right?
Don't look at Elon Musk. He's not normal.
Well, I know, but he's a model to go towards, right? So what you want to do...
No.
What do you think? He's an alien? Is that what you're saying?
He's more... No, no. You always go to him, and I think the issue that we have is that he is one of those people who goes deep into a topic and well enough to know it, right?
Yes.
He isn't the scientist, but he understands enough to talk to the scientist, and I do think there's a lot of value in that. If you're trying to eke out every % of precision and optimization you can out of anything, the more someone at a higher level understands, the more they can build that into their thinking. So I
Yeah.
see the value from that perspective.
Well, and
But
he
but
is.
but what I'm getting at is there are plenty of people who can engineer massive change and massive projects who aren't the ones who know each individual piece, but they understand the capabilities of that area. Yeah, that engineering team, that IT team, that sales team. You understand what they can do, and you understand enough to let them be the expert. So you don't make judgments based upon, you say, hey, I need you to do this. I need your team to be able to deliver this. And they go, that's impossible. And you've got to a certain extent, have trust in their ability to do that, right? To be the guy who knows everything at the detailed level is going to be extremely, extremely difficult for anyone.
Yeah, correct. That's what I'm trying to do.
You're not going
Hopefully
to
I
be
have
that
enough
person.
time. What's that?
You can do that. You can do that in some areas, but you're not going to be that person across the board.
Says you, not me.
Says me.
I'm going to try. Because even if I never hit there, even if I never hit the perfection, I'll go a lot further if I'm at least trying to shoot for that objective.
You'll go further in a particular direction. You could you can go in other directions.
I think any direction you'll be able to go further.
Not if it's all big picture thinking you're going after. If you're going into the weeds,
I got to be able to zoom in and out like very quickly. It's like in the weeds, big picture, back into the weeds, big picture. Like almost like less than a second switching time. Like how does how does this thing relate to all, oh, wait a minute. Okay, I never thought about that connection.
Scott, if I'm building a roadmap on how to get to Chicago,
yeah,
do I have to know how a car works?
It really helps, and I'll tell you why it helps. Because it helps by this. It helps because you understand the capabilities of the car. Now you integrate weather into the situation. You're like, okay, wait a minute. We can't just go straight there because there's a big mountain in the way. So we actually go around, and I know what the capabilities of my car are. I know the weather. So now I can build a much better plan.
Sure. Or I could call the driver and say, hey, I need to get to Chicago. How long is it going to take?
You could do that. But historically, the most high-performing individuals, look at Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs. They deeply understood at a deep level how all the pieces operated. Maybe not perfect, but enough to know that the relationships of how these things work together. And so whatever that is, that's what I really mean by learning. Is like really understand how
it's a definitional thing here because I don't disagree with the value of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I disagree with you saying that it's faster learning because you're doing it. It's a different learning because you are moving towards a goal of understanding details as opposed to understanding other connections.
No, when I say learning, I mean all of it. I don't mean just the details, just the big picture. I mean everything and how it relates together. Because when you do that, if you can understand how all the pieces relate, reasoning up from first principles, it's like what happens, at least in my mind, is like, oh, I see the whole thing. And it's all the same thing. I'm just zooming in and out. But it's all the same thing. It's all the elephant, but I'm just looking at it from different angles. And I get a perspective that most people will never get.
To me, that happens at every level, even at the detail level or at the big picture level. That's the aha where you're going, this connects to that. Like, how does sociology connect to electrical engineering?
Correct.
Right? And right, but that can happen at all levels. It's like, oh, they connect because of this. They can connect because of that. Right? There are, in my mind, it isn't. You are focusing. You're going down to a detailed level where you're seeing pieces of information that you say, oh, this connects to that thing, and that connects to that thing, right? And you're saying that's valuable because you can use that to understand how other things work that are not in this branch.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, I get that and I understand that. But what I'm saying is, when you say it speeds up learning, that's the only thing that I'm arguing with. I don't argue with anything else except that you argue that it speeds up learning. And learning is up to you and the topic you're learning. And so you've just focused on a specific topic, and you're going into it, and you're seeing the synthesis of the data you've got and information you've got, and you're saying, look at all this cool stuff I'm learning. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. but it's not faster. It's more
I think
focused.
it's way faster, and I'll tell you
It's
why. I think I know why, because you're forcing me to think through this. Actually, it's faster because I get to use more senses. I get to use smell, sight, touch.
Okay.
I get to use. I literally get to bring in more information. Like when I'm making these robot fingers, right? Like I'm talking about
Is that a
the
3D
bending
printed one?
modulus, right? What's that?
Did you 3D print it?
Yeah, I printed a bunch of them or whatever.
Cool.
So then, I learned the concept of modulus of elasticity. I was okay, it's in my head, but I'm like, oh, it controls how it bends, right? How does this plastically deform and when does it plastic? So this one, look, it's really light. It's like floppy, right? This one is much more solid. It doesn't flop around as much. This one, I looked at where's my string? Do I have it here? Hang on. Where's another one? Where's my... This one, I'm like, ooh, if I did cutouts, but I didn't see the shape of the cutouts. It was not optimal, actually. I had to have Grok tell me that this cutout was a better shape, right? Because you can see how it like bends around the thing. So this one, cool though. I can have just one tenon in this hand, and I can make my finger bend without 3 different like joints, because all of these joints are like molded in to my thing, right? So I understood this at some level, and I've been studying it for months. But till I took one day to actually like build the thing and feel it bend, I'm like, oh, that's what they mean. Oh, that's how 1 Newton meter feels. It's like, oh, so I start to calibrate. So now it's not just like math, it's like a deeper understanding, where math is just one way to present information, a very precise way, but it's not the only way.
And again, so you went into a very specific type of learning. You learned something very specific. In my mind, again, we're not talking about speed of learning. You're talking about, oh, I learned this, and you keep using the word faster, and I'm like, no, it's different stuff. It's understanding more of it. You got your senses involved in it. You've got physical things. You've got memory associated with having to use your hands versus just your brain. I get all of that. The only thing I disagree with everything you're saying is that you say it's faster.
Yeah, Chris, you're missing a big point. You're the boulder you're missing, right?
What is it?
Here's what I'm telling you. So all of this stuff clicked, right? I learned about all these terms in one day and everything related together because I built something. I get to touch it. I could have spent learning from a book 3 or 4 months and still never have as deep of understanding is because I built it in one day. That's way faster.
To learn that thing.
No. To learn the underlying principles. Because now I understand how things flex. I understand what elasticity is. I understand,
but
maximum
Scott, you just showing
strength.
it to me right now, I picked up a lot of what you said. I don't know the hands-on touch and feel. I don't know what one material or one thickness is going to feel like when I'm bending it compared to what you do. I agree. And if the goal is to build this thing, then you are far ahead of me on that. But that is, to me, that isn't faster. That's you went down a particular path, and the information you learned was through what was specific towards what you were going after. If you took those 3 to 4 months, you said you wouldn't learn this. No, but in those 3 to 4 months, you'd be learning other things.
But I
think all of this is underlying this idea that applying the knowledge is your goal, and so the application of knowledge is where you're focusing your learning and focusing your activity.
No.
If I look at it that way, I would say yes, doing it because you want to apply this. So doing it is the way to get there faster because that gives you the skills and knowledge specific towards an application goal. A goal of applying.
No, you're kind of missing it still, actually. I learned how to make a robot finger, right? I got that. There's no doubt. That's the specific application. But what I'm learning is how all these things, how everything relates together. So now I can build anything with forces upon it. I'm like, oh, just like the robot finger, this thing's going to flex and bend. And what frequency? What are the harmonics that it's going to flex and bend about?
You couldn't do that before?
Not at the level of understanding I have. No. So what I'm saying is I may have a surface level understanding, but by building increases both the depth of my understanding. And when I say depth, I mean the ability to connect it to problems that I've never seen before is depth.
That's breadth.
And breadth. Okay.
That's breadth.
But you understand it a deeper, but it's a deeper level, so I can get breadth. So I'm going both deep and wide simultaneously. Is what I'm saying.
So the thing that depth of knowledge gives you is an ability to see connections, particularly if you have depth of knowledge across multiple disciplines.
Yes.
You can see connections at deeper levels and go, oh, that's not just related at a surface level, that's related down here.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
That's what I'm talking about.
Again, I agree with all of this, Scott. My only argument is that all you've done in my mind is specialized what you're learning. You're not speeding up your learning. Learning is not dependent on physically doing it unless the goal of learning is to physically learn how to do it.
Well, but see, you're still missing the point. You're missing the big point, actually. Is that so what I'm seeing by physically touching doing this is that this is just one application of the same thing. So now what I'm doing is I can...
You're saying that I can't do that or you couldn't do that without physically doing what you did?
100%, absolutely. I would never get there. I would never get to the depth.
So, and
I would never be able to solve the problems that I can solve now after just one day of screwing around. Never. Not even close.
Okay.
So when I say like 5 or 10x...
You would never be able to solve the problems you can. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Again, your goal is to solve problems, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, to learn.
But then if your goal is to solve problems, then you're learning things to solve those problems.
Well, isn't everything a problem?
You could be, I guess. You could look at it as a problem, yeah.
I mean, I guess you're thinking you just want to learn it in your head. But I'm not applying the example to you. See, what you're thinking is that you're saying, oh, this may or may not work for you. And I think it will work for you. But I'm trying to get a generalized theory that you will learn significantly faster if you do hands-on work.
And
like
you'll learn significantly faster towards a specific goal. Yes.
Yeah, but also if you learn deeper, now you can apply that to things. Because what you'll see is that, oh, this is not 100 different problems. This is all the same problem, just with different viewpoints.
Scott, you're going down here to the roots, and you're saying, I know this thing. Over here, there's a root, and you make a connection. You're saying, I see, I can build my connections.
Yes,
I get that.
Yes,
but I can also say, I'm up here at the tree. I'm like, oh, this tree is right next to that tree. Here's where it crosses over. Oh, I need to find out how these things connect at a base level. Then I can drill down into each of them and see where they connect.
Yeah.
I can approach from the top. Well, what I'm saying is, I don't need to go to the detail to start. I can stay at the high level to start and go to the details later.
Well, okay, where you start, I don't care. I'm just saying you got to go to both, and you got to switch maybe like instantaneously.
No. What you were saying is you learn faster when you get down here, and I'm like, I disagree. That's what I'm disagreeing with.
No, I didn't say you learn faster when you get down there. What I'm saying is you get faster when you go hands-on. Because it lets you see both things simultaneously, right? You're like, oh my God, I'm in an elevated position and I can see it.
Okay, then Scott, then I should be able to be hands-on at a high level.
Well, if you get too high, you can't touch it, is the thing.
Okay, so now you are being very specific. So you're saying, I want to be hands-on at the tree level. How can I do that? Is that because you're saying I can learn faster if I'm hands-on? And what I'm saying is it's important. You can start from the bottom up, or you can start from the top down.
Either doesn't.
You're going to have a different viewpoint along the way. You're going to see things differently along the way. But if you understand that everything has roots, and you can get down to the roots to better understand, and you understand that everything has an up, you can go up to the top to understand.
Yeah.
As long as you understand all that, you can approach it in multiple ways. So the only thing I disagreed with everything you said so far is that you said by building something, by doing the task of building, you were learning faster. Or
100%, yes.
You were learning faster is fine. That you will learn faster if you do it this way.
100% true. Yes, exactly.
And that's what I'm arguing. That's the only thing of everything you said, Scott. That's the only thing I'm arguing with.
I understand that. That's the key argument here, right? Is the speed.
And I don't agree with it and the reason I don't agree with it is because you're saying there's one way to learn that's better than everything else, and I'm saying no. You're saying there's one way to learn that's better than everything else, and I'm saying no, that's not true. You can learn so many ways.
You can learn multiple ways. I'm not arguing with that, but I'm saying hands-on and theoretical combined.
Someone who goes
back
through
and forth.
trauma in life,
Yes.
right? Is that? I guess that's hands-on. Is what you're saying? Right?
Of
Is
course.
that what you're saying?
Hands-on. Yes. It's hands-on.
So someone who explores an area that's never been explored before, not physically, but in philosophy and thought and in science, has to start mentally.
You don't have to start. I mean, you can start anywhere anywhere, right?
No, because if there's no thought of what it is, if you don't even have the idea of a tree, you can't get to the roots of it.
Well, no, but it doesn't really matter where you start, right? Because you could bump up against something, and you're like, "What the heck is this thing?" You know, you touch it, and it's kind of rough, and I can smell it.
Again, I think what you're applying is the idea that certain types of learning are better than others.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Why?
And
Why
when I say better, I mean faster and at a deeper level.
Okay, so deep again to me.
Better in every way. Yes.
You're defining deeps in a way that seems to be more detailed, and then connecting the detailed pieces.
And then connecting the detailed pieces, because what I'm trying to say is like, you're like, not like eventually you're not viewing this thing as 10 different problems or 100 different problems. You're like, oh my God, it's all the same thing. It's like behind the curtains, it's the same thing. All they do is they just move the camera to different angles. And so normally we define like a discipline is like, oh, I just get to see the problem from this specific angle. And then this discipline says this specific angle.
So when you have something where you're not building something physical, what is hands-on?
Hands-on is I want to try to build some kind of model as quickly as possible. So I can get out of the pure mental part of it and try to engage as many senses as possible.
So Scott, I have this opinion that most of the problems we have politically in America are due to wealth. Okay.
There's no doubt that's part of it. I don't think that's
you don't need to agree or not. This. I now think everything that we argue on is noise that's driven by politics to keep us not thinking about the fact that we've got inflation, we've got printing of money, we've got wealthy people getting wealthy, we've got all the things that basically make it so 75% of America doesn't feel like they're part of the American.
That's a tactic of power. I think if you say power, I'll agree with power, right?
Wealth.
Power control.
Well, wealth is power in the U.S. in my mind. So anyway, but Scott, let me get back to the point. So this is something I think, right? So when I think about this, some of it came from the bottom up, like, oh, I see this problem over here. Oh, I've heard about this conspiracy theory over here. Oh, this thing over there is going on. Oh, the Federal Reserve prints money, and all these things come together. And I kind of see the theme underneath it in my mind is wealth and money in the U.S. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So I've got this now. When I'm thinking about this, in your mind, how do I go hands-on thinking about this?
Okay, so this is interesting. So you're starting to see. Yeah,
so I started bottom up. Right? I was at a more detailed level, and I put those pieces together, like you said, and I come up with a theme that I think goes across them, and so that got me to a tree that is wealth is the problem.
Yeah, right. Wealth is the problem. Ultimately, it's power, right? Because power can create wealth.
Yes,
but they're tightly related. It's not like you can break them apart.
Scott,
they're related.
We could argue that. I'm not making that claim yet.
Okay.
So my claim right now, maybe I get to that. Maybe I work up from this and get to that. But right now, my problem is actually it's wealth inequality and what goes with that in the U.S. People with wealth and people without wealth and what they can and can't do.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I mean, without wealth,
but how do I go hands-on that?
Oh, here we go. Okay, here's an example, right? Here's an example if you want to do this. You go take $2,000 just to run an experiment. You'll learn this in one day so fast, right? First part of the day, you go spend $2,000 and you just throw money around like crazy and you see what you can get with it. Like at a restaurant, you can get the best table. You have the guy, that table's not available. How about $200? Oh, it just opened up, right? You start to understand. I mean, at a visceral level. You're like, oh my God, I knew about it mentally, but I never really felt it. Now you do the same thing with no money and see what you get, see how much food you can get. I mean, you'll have vastly different experiences actually. And then I think that will go in so fast and at such a deep level that you could never understand it completely any other way.
You could not put yourself into that thought. You couldn't do that experiment yourself in your head.
I can do it, and I'll get a certain understanding. Yes, I'll get a certain understanding of it. But let me go back to jiu-jitsu, right? It's like you can talk about a 300-pound dude sweating on you, and you're trying to escape, right? And you're like, yeah, I got to do this angle and this thing. But what you're not getting, the part that you're not experiencing, is the fact that the fear that you're freaking out, that you can't breathe, that what you got to do is try to get the little breath as soon as you can and to get even the slightest angle to get the full pressure off your full chest. You're missing so many nuances that you just are not smart enough to think of unless you actually run the actual experiment. And then you'll learn in literally less than 1 minute as opposed to maybe taking a month, but still never getting it.
Well, first of all, it wouldn't take me a month to run that experiment. I could do that in 30 seconds.
Yeah, but you'll never understand. You'll never understand.
Scott, the idea is I'll give you that I won't be able to emulate every element of a live situation, and some of those elements might be meaningful. But I actually but I actually believe that I can run that experiment in my head at a level that gives me Scott.
You were so delusional.
Maybe you can't. But I honestly believe I can run that experiment in my head to get 80 to 90% of the value out of that, which gives me directionally the value I want. I think this is the core difference. Is I honestly think I have a model of the world in my head to be able to say what happens in this situation. All right, so I pay off that guy $200 to get that table. So what does this mean? How does that what does that lay out? There's an expectation that I have money, that I can pay things, so that person's going to offer me things that they wouldn't offer me before because they know I got money. That person's going to treat me in a way. I can go through all those scenarios in my head. I do that day to day in the way I think about every situation in the world. So I will bet you that I can do that better than many of the people out there. I'm not going to do it 100% accurately. There's no way I can do that because reality has so many elements that I'm not going to be able to track them all. But the tracking the ones that are relevant, I have a higher percentage chance of getting those right. So in my thought is like it's a return on investment. I could spend the $2,000 and do what you say, or I could spend 2 minutes and think through it. What am I getting out of that? I spent $2,000 and I get this. Is the difference in what I understand between those two scenarios, the real life experiment and the one I went through my head, is the difference in it worth the cost difference in what it took? Well, and my thought is no, and sometimes it is. There's no doubt the live experiment is critical, right? And especially when I get to a point when I need to prove something in a scientific paper or something, then doing the live experiment makes sense. But until that point, I can get directionally closer to the right answer without having to do the live experiment.
Yeah, I mean that's what models and simulations are, right? I mean, so you can do that. But I think, Chris, in your mind, you're and there's no doubt you're skilled in that, right? Mm-hmm. I'm skilled in that too. But here's the thing: we're blinded by ego. That's why I keep pushing on. Go to actual jiu-jitsu, because that will open up a world in your mind that you never could have imagined before. That because unless you have the experience, you don't know, and you can't think your way to that experience. It's impossible.
When it comes to, again, I go to the goal here. What is the goal? If my goal is to get directionally further in something, as opposed to getting to an end goal of making something, right? Because when your end goal is making something, at some point you've got to actually test reality.
No, remember, I'm saying the end goal is not to make something. The end goal is just teaching you how to think. It's getting more input into your brain. It's letting you feel, see, smell, It's like it's just more information coming in. That's why an
Okay,
in-person meeting is better than a Zoom call.
sure. If you're, but that level of detail is beneficial first towards your immediate goal, and then secondarily, you're saying to be able to connect it to other things.
Oh, of course. Yeah, yeah. In fact, that's
Yeah.
probably the more important thing.
Yeah.
Like significantly more important. Like here's why. Like in this robot hand, right, Chris? I'm learning how to read stress strain curves. So this is where this is going to work, right? So I'm going to give this demo in 2 days if I can finish it to Liquid Metal. I'm going to California to give this demo. They're not going to sell this because this is out of TPU plastic, right? But I believe it's sort of a rubbery plastic mix sort of thing.
Yep.
But the material is an amorphous metal. It's metal. Nobody is thinking in terms of modeling a single robot thing. Because in order to do this thing, it has 3 joints. You have all these bearings. You have like 20, 30 parts, actually. So what I'm doing by going back to first principles, I'm thinking, would it be possible because of the unique properties of liquid metal to make a robot finger out of one molded part? And now I'm talking about cost reductions of 20, 30, maybe 50 times, resulting in potentially hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue to liquid metal that they wouldn't get without me going down this mindset thing. Whether I'm going to get there, I don't know. But as I build it, see, because if I tell people that, they'll tell me, shut up, you're an idiot. When I bring the actual model and let them, because they'll say, oh, that's not possible. We can't do that. And I've had this all the time, actually. They're so close-minded, right? The engineers. And then when I show them this
They've
model.
got their own constraints and their own thinking. I get that.
Yeah, exactly.
But Scott, I mean, obviously seeing what you produced, I can immediately see it. That's your benefit of being able to share that with someone else.
Yeah, right.
But my question though is the concept you came up with first. Oh, I wonder if I could, since the metal has these properties, I wonder if I could do something like this, right? That isn't because you did it. You did it. You produced this stuff and said, this might be viable. But you had a thought before that.
I had a thought before then, but I wasn't sure if it was going to work. So then I build, and so now I'm going high level, and I'm like, I wonder if that works at the tree level. Let me go down to the tree. Let me fiddle and experiment. And so I'll continue to bounce back and forth.
But my thought here is like, okay, you start with a principle. I wonder if we could do this. So what do I have? What tools do I have available to work with?
Yeah, right.
Okay, I've got this. So let me at least theorize this out. And you go and you produce your fingers, and you're like, oh, hey, this is better than that, right? To me, at this point, you're in implementation. You're in solution delivery. You're in yes, you're modeling and testing because you still haven't put it to the test with the actual material you're talking about. But
right.
The original idea had to come from connections you had with understanding the material you were thinking about, and then this, right? And then you did a proof of concept saying, proof of concept wise, well, it looks like it'll work if the material characteristics are the way I think they do. This will probably be a good thing, right? So I get all of that. So to me, everything you learned is towards showing that the end product is possible. Now, there's valuable connections you're making along the way. You're reinforcing some things you already understood. You're coming up with new ideas and thoughts about how things connect. I get all of that. But to me, it's like there's the idea and there's the implementation, and they're two different things. And so it seems to me like what you're saying is the knowledge that you've been gaining is all in the implementation as opposed to the idea.
No, but I'm bouncing back and forth, right? So in my mind, there was a weak
and that's going to happen, right? But like if you went and took a metal worker, who a physical hands-on metal worker who used a CNC machine by hand and lathes and that kind of stuff, they would understand materials like you wouldn't believe because they've been
like you wouldn't believe. Right? They don't need a stress strain.
They would understand the stresses they could put on things. They would understand how quickly they could cut. Like when I'm cutting on with a machine, I'm like, oh, is this too fast? Am I going to burn it out? I have no idea, right? Whereas this guy can just tell by smell and feel what's going on.
Vibration, right?
But his ability to think above that is going to be based upon his other learnings, right?
Yes.
What does he know about woodworking? What does he know about plastics, ceramics? What does he know about the characteristics of those? What does he understand about how he's going to understand how measurements and tolerances work, right? But is
Yes.
he able to take that and move that into other sciences and other fields and other areas? And that really is a mindset aspect and an exposure of breadth of knowledge. He has deep knowledge. And the breadth within his field is good, but when breadth outside the field, that's tough, right? Working from the bottom up, I think, is very difficult to do that. Yeah.
Well,
So
but
the
that's where
problem
you
with
have to
people at the
start,
top,
though.
the problem with the people at the top is they get stuck at the top and they don't go to the implementation level, the detail
Yes.
level well enough. And what ends up happening is the person who can talk to the idea and talk to the implementation, that's a rare skill. That's why implementations fail so often, because the engineer had a great idea and the technician's like, "What the hell were you thinking?" Right?
Yes.
Because the engineer. I'll give you an example. I used to have to install CNC mills and lathes,
Yeah.
and these were 10-ton machines, 20-ton machines, and we had these big leveling bolts to level the machine, and I would have like a 4-foot long wrench to adjust, and the problem was they would give you in some cases so little space that you couldn't even get one full
Yeah.
quarter turn or whatever of the wrench. So I was sitting there, having to come up with jury rigging ways to get that thing to go. And the
Yeah.
engineer had some bright idea to develop this way because it looked cooler or he thought it was better. Obviously, he didn't understand in the field how it would apply.
Right. 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 Right.
So I understand the value of getting that down to that detail. But the only thing I'm arguing with your original statement that learning is any different. I don't think I don't think it's faster. It's just different.
So, no, I think it's way faster as well too, like significantly faster. And in fact, here's the thing, Chris. It's not only faster, it may be absolutely critical to understanding. So that engineer example you designed, he designed the CNC machine and everything like that. He's clueless because if he would have actually went down and physically tried to level it to take 10 minutes, he's like, oh my God, I totally missed it. Now goes back up. He'll have such a better design next time around. But if he never comes down because he's got too much ego to do that, he'll be a mediocre engineer for the rest of his life, actually, until you
Yes.
actually build.
But you could then have either the engineer or a project manager over this go talk to that guy and find out if there's any problem with your design.
I mean, you could, and a reduced ego
There's
guy
just
will
so much
do
knowledge
that.
in the world, right? So I want everyone to have enough depth of knowledge to be able to see connections, and then to understand there are things you don't see. I mean, like I said, even in the scenario I was telling you where I think I could do a good job emulating an experiment in my head, there are things I'm not going to see. I know there are things I'm not.
Yeah, of
gonna
course
see,
not, right?
right?
Yeah.
The problem I have in the world is that finding someone who catches things that I don't catch. Right? Because they need to either have an experience in something I don't know, a lot of experience, right? A mindset that's different than mine, that still adds value to what I've got.
Yeah,
'Cause
of course.
I've got enough breadth that I'm able to do 80% of the situation, right?
Yeah.
80% will get you through most things.
Most things,
So
yeah.
how do I get that last 20%? And that's finding the people that can give you that last 20%. That's the hard part.
Well, yeah. And I'm saying though, so if you can go build, because the essence of this channel is build stuff, right? Consume less, build more, actually. But so as I committed to building something this week, I'm like, oh my gosh, I learned so much more. In fact, it's not only didn't accelerate it dramatically, it's like now there's things I never would have thought of. I just never would have thought of it on my own. So I'm saying building is essential to getting a deep and wide base of knowledge.
I'll agree with that statement. It's just the speed thing that I was disagreeing
Oh, but
with.
I'm saying it's way faster, like significantly
I just
faster.
think it's different.
I know because you haven't experienced it. Your mind won't let you go there. So you're not
What?
smart
I
enough.
haven't
to
I haven't
understand.
built stuff?
Well, when you build stuff, did you learn anything?
Okay.
Okay, faster
I learn
than if you
about
only
the
built it?
materials I'm working with. I learn about okay, a simple thing. I'm drilling a hole in a piece of PVC to make a hole for a flute, right?
Gotcha, cool.
Right? How much stress can I put on the drill bit side to side to expand that hole?
Yeah, right.
Right? Oh, I broke a couple drill bits. Okay, well that sucks, all right? I
Perfect,
mean,
yeah.
you learn things that are related but not specific to the task, right? Oh, I learned about the tolerances of a drill bit. Oh, a
Yes,
steel drill
right.
bit versus whatever, right? So those are things you do learn, and I get. I'm not saying I don't get the value of it. The only comment I have really is the speed comment.
I know,
That's
I
the
know,
only
I
thing.
know. And my thing is it speeds it up significantly, like factors of maybe 5, 10, 20. Or it may speed it up so much you never would have learned it the other way. Actually, it might have been. It's still invisible to you.
Oh, there are things you will never learn without going into the details.
Yeah.
Right.
Without physically hands-on.
The idea is you might be in a situation where you're not the one to go into the details. You're not the one who. It's not a one-man shop.
Yeah.
So
no,
got
I
a
get
team.
that, Chris. I get it. And there's some value to that. There's some value, but
well,
not near as
I'm
much
gonna-
as doing it yourself.
I'm gonna push against you and say that is the main value, because we live in a society where we've got so many people, and we're building so many big and complex things that the real ability for one person to know it all is going to be almost nil.
Almost no, I get that. But let me tell you,
I know Musk is more that than most people, but even he doesn't know it all.
no, he doesn't. He has that. It's his first job is to get smart people.
Right.
But I'm telling you, if I tell him we could make this out of liquid metal and do this, and I could do a 2-hour presentation and PowerPoint slide with all the data, and I said, just hold this in your hand, and they go, oh, now I understand. You know,
That's a different thing.
no, it's
Now
not. They
you're in-
learned faster because they did hands-on. That's what I'm saying, Chris. They learned way faster. In fact,
No, they learn or they understand faster.
both things together.
No, learn.
It goes in
What are
deeper.
they learning from that versus
They're
just you
learning
explaining to them?
That, oh my God, maybe liquid metal, we could actually do this in liquid metal. And then their mind starts going.
No, you said that already. You're saying we could do this with liquid metal.
But they'll say
But
no.
when and they're gonna go, oh yeah, you could do that with liquid metal. Yeah, I get it.
No, they'll say no because we've never done it before because they're closed-minded, right? And then when I give them and I show them, I'm like, well, let me show you this example. And they're like, oh, it opens up a whole new possibility.
So now we're getting into a different argument. And I think, I don't think they're learning. I think they're understanding, which is, you can
Same
argue
thing.
is a similar thing.
Yeah.
But what you're doing is you're shortcutting their ability to understand, which is a tool of marketing. It's a tool of sales. It's a tool of everything, right?
Yes, I'm giving them an experience, so it goes in deep. Actually,
and so you could not do that without doing what you're doing. I get that too.
without a physical demo, right? Exactly.
Right. So I understand that, but again, back to your first point. Excuse me. It's the speed of learning comment.
So anyways, do you understand that they'll get this, or they possibly never could get it before, or significantly?
Oh, I think it makes sense. Here, you dump it. What's the movie Apollo 13 when they gotta make the air filter, right?
Yeah.
And you could say, we've got a square filter and a hose and some duct tape, and we need to make whatever. They could have done that in the movie.
Yeah,
but they just dumped everything out on the table, and we all saw what they were working with, and we understood immediately.
Yeah.
This is going to be hard. This is all we got. Don't ask dumb questions about, oh, can we get this? Can we get no? Right?
Yeah, this is what you got, right?
So
which is show versus tell. Showing is always better than telling,
right? So, but again, you've got a goal. You've got a specific goal in mind at this point.
Yes.
So, and again, I think that means that the type of learning you're doing is more focused, which to you feels faster. That's what I'm getting at. I don't think the speed of learning is changing. I think the focus of learning is very much towards a goal, which is then, again, you feel like you're making massive progress towards that goal, which feels faster, but it's the learning itself is no faster. That's what I'm saying.
See, no, because it's the learning, because I've been studying stress strain curves for a month. And as soon as I started doing this, I'm like, then I go back to stress strain. I'm like, oh, that's the elastic version. That's the max 10. I'm like, oh, now
Scott,
it just started
when
clicking.
you say you've been learning for a month,
Yeah.
at what point did you know enough to go on to the next topic?
Well, I never fully understood it. I'm like, okay, I get it. I could repeat it back, but it's like I didn't have it deep inside of me. It's like I didn't know it. What I'm saying.
But what I'm getting at is there's a point where you know enough that you don't need to delve deeper into it because you're just reiterating stuff you already know.
At some
How
point,
you know it's a different question. You're talking about how well you know it, if it's ingrained in that, right? All right. At some point, you move on to the next piece of information, and you tie it back to that information, and you move on to the next piece. So what you've done is you've gone into the details of understanding physically how that works. I get that.
And how it relates to the
as
curve,
long as you
right.
keep moving and you're adding information and you're synthesizing it back into what you already know, you are building on that knowledge. You're building on that learning, right?
Faster.
And so again, I think it's the focus of your learning is different when you do hands-on. Not that it's faster, it's different.
It's way faster because you have more senses coming in. You get to touch it and feel it. So for instance, I could do a 2-hour presentation. And they're like, maybe you got a point, maybe you don't. I give them this robot finger, even without it, and they start bending it. And in 2 seconds, they're like, oh, the information will go in so much faster. They'll learn way faster. Maybe 2 hours equals 2 seconds. In fact, even the 2 hours is still not got it all the way in. For 2 seconds, they got it. They're like, okay, I got it. So they've learned way faster.
They're not learning everything that you learned, though. They're learning a very specific subset message you're trying to get across to them.
Yeah, they know this other stuff. They're engineers, right? And they think they know because they've memorized the graph. What's that?
It's not a learning, it's an aha that you're getting out of them.
Well, that's called learning. Yeah, of course. Aha. That's how you connect things together. That's learning.
Okay, but they're not learning all the base stuff that you're saying you learned in the last
No,
week.
they know it all. A lot of these guys are engineers. They just haven't put it together yet.
Yeah. So you're giving them the aha by doing it this way.
That's what I'm trying to do. Yeah, exactly.
So you have a very specific goal in mind for all these skills that you've been building this week.
I have a very specific skill. Now when I go back to 6 Easy Pieces, the way atoms move, the way heat things, I can feel it heated up. I've got a whatever we call it, thermal gun. I can actually look and see the temperature increase. I can see where the stress happens. That's where the molecules are rubbing, or the atoms are rubbing together. I can see that's where it heats up a little bit more. It's like now I just get a deeper understanding of it. And then at some point, I get so much knowledge that it just is intuitive. Like, of course, you just do this thing, you do that thing. It's like I don't even have to think anymore. It just is like I just know.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a cook or a chef or a baker who just understands the chemistry of what they're doing and is able to do it without even thinking about it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's learning faster and deeper by physically building something.
So again, your definition of words is what I'm disagreeing with. Faster and deeper.
Faster and deeper? More insight.
More aligned towards implementation, more aligned towards a specific outcome, more aligned to be able to produce something. Those are what I see. And then so the skills that you're building are aligned towards that. Not that they don't have other value too, but that's what I see.
Oh, interesting. Okay, maybe I need to do a better job of articulating it then.
Yeah, I by using the word faster without any kind of constraint, faster towards this goal, faster towards being able to develop something, faster towards being able to teach someone something or to make them understand something.
Yeah.
All of those things that are like, just the generic term faster applied to the generic term learning is what's bothering me.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I guess I could define those better or whatever, but yeah. Okay.
Well,
but
I want to be very precise. My mind is thinking that learning is this big, broad thing. And if doing it physically was better, the whole world would have figured that out, and everyone would be doing things physically.
Well, they do physically. Yeah, they do. That's how most good schools teach.
Because the goal is to produce an outcome.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right? So you're starting with this, I need to make an outcome. Here's the knowledge I've got. Now I'm going to implement that outcome. And so I've got to learn the things to implement that outcome. Right?
No. You're still not understanding, actually. I start with a little bit of learning, and then I build something that accelerates that learning that if I wouldn't have built it, I
towards an outcome.
Never would.
Towards an outcome.
Well, what's the outcome in my case then? You define what you think it is.
You had this idea that this material could be used for this, so you decided, hey, I'm going to go see if this works. And you start to work on that, and along the way, you learn more about the 3D printing you're doing. You learn more about the material you're using for the 3D printing. You learn more about the design and how certain things impinge on the ability to bend and move. And but the idea is to get towards, hey, I want a working model of this to show off.
Yeah, but no, that's a sub outcome. My real outcome is, remember we talked about before, how to implement first principles and reason up from physics. So physics is the bottom. That's the bottom of the thing, right? And you could go into quantum, but chat's like telling me, Grok's telling me, don't do quantum because that's just crazy stuff. All you really need to know is you need to understand mechanics and electromagnetism. He goes, if you have a deep understanding of those two things in physics, that's the floor. You can reason up everything from there. So you don't need to dig any deeper than that. So ultimately, to understand everything else, I started reading 6 Easy Pieces. And then I started building up. And then once I understood that, then I'm like, oh, to make this thing, now I got a weak correlation between those two. And then now when I physically go build it, that's where it strengthens the correlation.
Scott, I think there's a distinction here between understanding and knowing.
Well, okay, you define what it is. I don't know. You're better at word definition. What I'm trying to do is just for you to buy into the general concept, and that you can apply whatever language you want to it, and you can teach me.
I do buy into the concept. It's just the word speed that was the speed word
speed's like faster. Like in 1 hour, I can learn more by touching and hands on than I can by just reading a book.
You can learn more that relates to the touching. Yes.
What do you mean when you say relate? No, I learn more about how the physical world. It's like a baby learns. It's like a baby learns by just touching and trying to walk. He doesn't, think about walking. He just walks. And after a while, he starts to get it. I mean, every skill development is like through this technique.
The baby knows other people can walk. It sees other people walk. Right?
Yeah. And so
it doesn't know how to walk.
No.
But it understands, I guess, baby,
I don't
right?
think it's a more intuition.
Understands that there are people walking around. My mommy's walking, daddy's walking, right? Well, they don't know what walking is, but they see, hey, they're doing this, right? So there's an understanding of this thing. They don't know how to do it.
They don't know how to do it. And I think it's more than just observing. I think it's desire, that it's like, oh, my toy is like 20 feet across the room.
Mm-hmm.
I got to get over there to get that thing because I want that thing.
So I think when it happens, and this is another semantic thing. I can argue both words either way on this, but I'm going to use understanding is the idea. It's the intellectual aspect of, I understand how the world works.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I know how the world works.
Yeah.
And knowing is the hands-on.
Yeah.
Right?
Fine.
Knowing is where I don't have to understand. Like, so going back to the machinist, right? He knows when he does this to the metal, that's going to happen.
Somewhat, maybe not.
Because he's had the experience, right? He's done it for 30 years. He knows that when you do this, when you do blank to metal, this happens.
Yeah,
he just
absolutely,
knows.
right.
So when you say, the temperature is going to go up 30 degrees, then this is going to happen. The metal's going to respond this way. He doesn't have to understand what's going on in the physics of the material. He might not.
Yeah,
he doesn't have to necessarily understand it, but he does know it.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And so I think the argument that you're making is the doing teaches you the knowing, and then after you know, if you've got the understanding, you tie the two together and you get a better view of the world, a
deeper understanding. Yeah.
I'm gonna, since I already used the word understanding in the first place, I'm not gonna understand.
Whatever you want to know, you have
understanding is your intellectual. Your knowing is the I don't want to say physical because it doesn't have to be physical. It's the usage of the application of it's the application of the skill, which then you know how things work.
Yeah,
and when you put thought into it, you connect the knowing to the understanding, and you get a better mental model of how the world works.
Yeah, better mental model. And I'll say I'm going to use the same word. It's just you go down, you get a deeper level of it. You get smarter.
Scott, what does deeper mean?
Deeper means that you have more understanding about it. You understand how things connect up under the hood.
So I would say I could take 5 different disciplines and figure out the one theme that ties all 5 together. Is that a deeper understanding or is that a higher understanding?
Both. But you understand.
See, again, the word deeper here is what I'm getting at.
Okay.
To me, if I go deep into the details, that's actually less high level thinking, but more understanding how little pieces fit together.
Okay.
Is that deeper or is that more detailed?
Okay, so here's the problem that's so frustrating with you, Chris, right? This is why you go so slow.
You need to define the words.
Yeah, I know that, but you can't define them without, let me flesh out the concept first, and then let's slap a label on this thing, and then let me go flesh out all these different concepts, and a lot of them are going to be overlapping. And then we start putting labels once we can, understand the thing first. We understand the nature of the thing first, and then we can put a label on it second. You're wanting to label it immediately, and I'm like, I haven't even fleshed the thing out yet. I don't know exactly.
But you use a word.
Yeah, and it may not be super precise, I understand, but it's the best word that I know to tie to this concept right now.
But like when I told you not, I'm not going to use the word understanding a second time because we already used it once.
Okay.
Right. That's to avoid confusion of the word. So you need to come up with another word that implies an if we're using my words, that implies the linking of understanding and knowledge together.
Okay, but see, in my mind, I can't build the mental model without drawing it on a whiteboard, because then I'm thinking, I don't know your exact definition. I don't know. I even forget it, but I just know this concept. I know the feeling, right? I know how the thing works. It's like I grok it, right? Whether the hell that you want to label you want to put on it. And so here, this is why it's frustrating, right? Because you're trying to edit. No, you didn't draw your eye exactly right. I'm like, Chris, I'm just trying to get the big idea out. Like, stop blocking it. You know, let's talk about the big idea, and then we'll get precision on labels later, but let's flush out what is this thing that we're talking about?
Yeah, so what is this thing? When you say deeper, what is this thing?
Yeah, and I don't know. I just know it's deeper. It's like more intuition, faster to connect dots together. It's like you just see it more clearly. It's like instead of seeing low resolution, it's like you have high resolution, and then we add color to it. It's like I can see it. I can grok it at a deeper level. Whatever you want to put that word on it. Grok's probably as good of word as anything. Cardia is another great word for it, right? Because it means literally you understand the essence of this thing or this concept at a deep level. It's like, I don't care what we call it. That's like irrelevant. That's like
this is why I said I could argue the word knowing and understanding either way. So if we switch up my definition and say knowing is the intellectual, I know stuff. I know that, the first president of the United States was Washington.
Yeah, right.
I know that, right?
Yeah,
Do I understand what that means?
Not at a deep level. Not if you could go back and meet Washington and talk to him.
So that would be the best, right? The best would be to have met the man. But let's even go. There's levels in between. I could study history and see what people say about him. I could see what actions he took, and every one of those things is a layer deeper in the details that you're talking about.
Yeah, right.
So it's not quite hands on, but it's a level deeper in down the journey, which then allows me to tie it back to this idea that he was the first president and what that means. So now suddenly when I understand all these pieces, now I'm going to use understanding here. When I understand all these pieces that make up who Washington was, then I have then my knowing and becomes understanding, and I can then think of him in more than just he was the first blank. He was also the man who did this and he did that and he stepped down from power and he didn't want kings and all that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. I can apply all that. So to me, it's not about the physical building and doing. It's about going down the path of getting more information to understand. It's just in this case, it was the physical doing and being that you did.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is, and I'm going to call that word experience. It's like I get an experience. So here's an example, right? You could study George Washington and read every single thing you could about him. You could probably study it for years, and you'd have a pretty good model of it. Or you could go back in time and spend a day with him, and you would just have such a deeper level of understanding. You'd be like, oh my God, it's like what the books don't say is he always like taps his finger when he gets nervous. It's like it's just all this color, right?
Okay, all right. So I agree with that, but why do you use he's always tapping as an example? Is that really beneficial to understanding him?
Because you understand the nature of him. You understand his strengths, his weaknesses, what's great about him, what's horrible about him. It's like you just have a
understanding that he had bad breath, let's just say. I don't know. Is that really a deeper understanding? Because you're using the word deeper. You're using the word deeper, and I want to understand how you're defining deeper. Deeper to me usually means there's more value to it.
There's tons of value.
You've gone to a level where there's an increased intellectual understanding that actually adds value to the overall picture. That's kind of how I'm seeing the word deeper. So if you're not meaning that, we need to clarify.
not just intellectual. Yes, intellectual is super important, but it's like you can feel it. It's not just in your head, you can feel it in your body.
But knowing that he had bad breath, or that he tapped his finger, or that, I don't know, he limped on his left foot or whatever, is that really a deeper understanding or just more understanding?
A deeper understanding. Because this is how you can apply it, right? You can apply it so you don't romanticize him. You're like, oh my God, this is a guy that did exceptional things, but he had all the flaws that a human has, right? All these flaws, but yet he still achieved great things. And so if you're trying to motivate someone or yourself, you're like saying, oh my God, even with all my flaws, I'm still capable of doing great things. So I'm going to push a little
that
harder.
Even without having met him, if you know anything about humanity and people, you know that people aren't perfect. You know that people make mistakes. You know that everyone's got flaws. So all you're doing is getting an anecdotal piece of information that reinforces something you already know.
No, I know mentally, but it's like when you feel it, it's like trying to describe love without actually experiencing it. It's such a different experience. And then now you can literally, like see like a mom that wants to save her baby, you can do all the math, all the intellectual stuff and everything. But if you understand love, she loves her kid. Boom. It's like instantly. It's like you just get it at grok it at a deep level. You're like, of course, that's why she did it.
Okay, I think you're jumping around a little bit here. I'm still understanding at a deep level. To me, means that there's some kind of a value added to the depth.
Yeah, 100%. And it's beyond just mental,
right? And so, it's, to me, just having more facts does not add depth.
Yeah, no, it's way beyond facts, Chris. This is the part you're not getting, actually.
Well, no, so like when you're talking about tapping his foot, he tapped his foot, he had bad breath, he did whatever, right? All those things.
And I'm making this up. I don't know if any of this is
true. We don't know, right? He chopped down the tree, he had wooden teeth. All those things that we hear about him, right? True, not true. What value does it mean to me that he had wooden teeth? It's more like, oh crap, people had wooden teeth back then. It would be more, right? That's taking my understanding in a different direction. It's not about him specifically, right?
It's more complete.
So when you're talking about complete, you're never going to get a complete, because the world is much more complex than we'll ever be able to understand through our experiences. So
no, of course, right? But
right. So you've got to focus your experiences on the things that add value towards a goal, right? And so when you go back and you meet him, right, and if you had one day with Washington, what would you do? It's like, if you're going to walk around his farm all day or ride a horse with him, you want to have a conversation with him. You want to talk about you want to pick his brain. Those are the things that add depth to your understanding, right? Everything else is like an anecdotal piece of information.
Some depth. But I want to see how he moves. How fast does he move? How intentionally is he? Does he wander around and he goes straight lines? It's like there's so much information that I'm getting.
So those are interesting aspects, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of facts that you could gather that don't, to me, add depth to the understanding. They add to the understanding, but to me, depth has a value judgment associated with it.
Okay, then we need a better word for you then, because there's let's call it grok. You're like, you grok this dude at a deep level, actually.
Sure.
So let's use a different word that we haven't clearly defined, right?
Now, do you and I need the same amount of factual information to be able to grok something? If you've got twice as much information as I do, are you grokking it better than me?
It depends on what the information is.
Generally, yeah. So again, it's the value of the information, right? Because generally, if you have more information, it's better. But if the information is all superficial, then there's no more depth to your understanding than mine. That's what I'm getting at. So when we talk about depth of understanding, I think we need to stay away from this what could be deemed superficial.
Well, it depends. It could be superficial or it could be super important. It could be one little nervousness, one little twitch thing that I understand him better. Now because when I have a deeper, I'm going to use the word grok, right? Because that's a loosely defined term. I have the better able to predict how he's going to perform if I put him in a different environment. Which means I have a...
Oh, okay, stop. So now you're talking about predicting how he's going to act.
Yes.
Why is that the goal?
Well, it's not the goal. It's just one of the goals to completely grok somebody.
Okay.
Because now, if I and this example of understanding him is not valuable, but if I understand, if I grok how this thing works in the world at a deep level and why it makes decisions and its biases and its flaws, I'm now better able to predict. When I'm better able to predict, I can influence the world in a better way. So, like, I learned a lot just listening to Elon Musk talk, right? The guy's freaking goofy. He can barely speak at times. He has these huge pauses when somebody asks him a question because I think he's deeply thinking about it. But I understand how his mind works, and I'm like, oh my God, if I understand him at a deep level with all his 15 kids and his inability to speak, it's like, but he's got an outcome. And there's no doubt that dude's got the ability to have amazing outcomes across multiple domains. I want to do that, so I want to try to model him.
I'm going to go back to something that you've talked about in the past, is you want to understand AI better. You understand how AI thinks better, right? And you're basically saying the more you can go into the weeds of how it operates, the better you can understand how it thinks.
Yes, right? But that's not complete. That's only part of it. The other part of it is just spend a lot of time talking to it.
So why would building a deeper understanding of how AI thinks be valuable? Yeah, I have my own opinions, and it's probably because I want you to explain it. So
I understand how the transformer works. I understand how they put the biases, the weights on it. I understand, like, down at the weeds of the thing. But here's the thing that I don't understand. I'm surprised that when you just put these things together and you do it like billions of connections, the result that comes out of it, I'm like, that is surprising to me. And I think it surprises most people. And even you can go watch these videos on Anthropics, guys. They have hour-long presentations. They only stand at like 20%. They're like, we don't even fully understand how this thing even works. I mean, and we built it, but we don't know why it's doing this thing.
Okay.
And I'm like, crap, that's super interesting.
But your goal of having a deeper understanding of how a specific LLM model works, right? What do you, that deeper understanding allows you to do what?
Oh, now it lets me do what it supports my mission, because it's a tool that helps me understand things, get better answers. It may connect dots that I can't connect. I help it connect dots that it can't connect. And it's like, so without Grok, I never would have been able to model this thing. Because my first attempt, I just cut, I don't know if you see it here. I just cut, where is it? I got so many different models. I just cut squares out. I just nipped them, and they're all kind of goofy and everything. And then finally, this one, I understood the geometry of the tool size, a certain percentage, how far back to go against the spline, that each one of these is 30 degrees cut out so it doesn't bend. I'm like, oh,
you say you never would have. Is it truly never, or just it would have taken you a long time?
It would have taken me a long time. So again, I learned faster, Chris, because I physically nip this crap out. So yeah, that's why I say speed. It significantly accelerated my speed by physically building this thing.
Yeah, and the wedge shape makes perfect sense to me in the fact that the finger reinforces itself as it bends too. I think that makes sense.
Yeah. And if it's going to be more of an angle, then it can tend to buckle and stress strain, all that sort of stuff.
Stuff. Okay, so now I'm going to ask you this: if I'm trying to understand the impact of AI on the world,
that's a much harder problem, by the way.
Yeah, and I want to understand AI generally across all the models, across all the AIs, and all of that, then all of the detailed, deep understanding you've built on Grok or on any specific model is less valuable to me, because the focus that I'm thinking about is at a different level. It's in a different area. So, Yes, it'd be great if I understood how AI models work, and I understood transformers, and I understood the limitations of compute power, the energy. Actually, the energy probably I need to understand no matter what, because we're using so much energy. We're all
Yeah,
paying
right.
for the higher level
Of
of energy.
course, right.
But my thinking here is that the thing that I need to understand is not going down into the physics of how LLMs work. I need to understand the physics of how societies work or politics work or something else. It's
Yeah.
actually a different realm
Yes.
as opposed to this, right? So really the goal of what I'm trying to work towards will define where I need to go down to the physics.
Yes, yes, yes. But I will tell you though, everything builds up from physics. So if you truly want to do a good job of doing first principles, you got to understand physics.
So then comes the idea of, well, how do I do what you would call hands-on work to speed that up, right? So I think again, you had a thesis in mind, you had of what you could do with it, and then you went and you, in order to prove it, you had to go to the physical. You had to build to go to the
I
physical.
had to build.
And I'm wondering, yeah, again, I don't know that it made it faster. To me, it meant you moved towards that goal
But
with a
I moved towards the goals
focus.
faster.
So
It's like
instead of learning across 15 dimensions, you said, "Here's what I'm learning." So before you would have gone 2 steps forward across 15 areas. Now you went 30 steps forward in one area. It's not faster. It's more aimed towards a particular goal. That's what's going in my mind when you say that. So you took the same amount of learning you would have done across all the, but you weren't focused before. Now you're focused. So all that learning now goes into one thing.
well, yes, yes, I do get that benefit. Yes. But it's still,
That's how I'm thinking of it when you talk
and
about
that's
speed.
100% true. But what you're missing is the speed. And unless you actually do it, I don't know. I don't have the words to describe it. Like jujitsu, I don't have the word. I can't tell you about jujitsu until you go roll around on the mat.
So
Or
let me restate it in a way. See if you agree with this.
yes,
When you start to build, you
yes,
focus your learning towards things that are aimed at this build. And because of that, you are able to move forward on that path quicker than if you were trying to learn 15 things at once.
yes, and I have a deeper understanding of how all the different physics work together. Actually,
I think so. I'm going to call that the secondary benefit. Not that it's secondary, not meaning that it's the lesser benefit, but it's not the first level. It's not the first order consequence. It's the second order consequence of what you're learning.
I wouldn't put them first and second order in this case. I mean, I
See,
guess you can. That's
because
okay.
I don't think everyone gets that. I think that's your mindset gets that value. I think a lot of people when they do things and they don't have the mindset to learn the same way you do when you have a failure. Some people learn and fail well. Some people learn and don't fail well, right? And so
Yeah.
to me, the benefit you get is not only do you learn how it works, but you learn how it works and how it failed and how that failure connects to your knowledge.
Well, but all the great people in the past, that's what they did. Thomas Edison did like what 1,000 versions of the light bulb until he finally got
Scott,
this thing working.
you made a blanket claim
Yeah.
that building things makes you learn faster. You didn't say
100%.
great
Oh.
people. You didn't say the brilliant people. You just said it as a general rule. Since you didn't caveat it, I'm thinking for the whole world, right? And so I would say it doesn't make people learn faster. It makes them learn more focused.
Yes, and faster at the same time too. Yes, exactly. Yeah,
Towards a goal, faster towards a goal. I will give you that, but I'm not going to give you that your learning capability increases.
okay. And
That's
I'll
what I
think
don't
about
agree
this.
with.
Yeah, because I think you don't know because you haven't had the experience, and so you think you know. This is why jujitsu is so powerful because it cuts through the ego. Because like you may understand force vectors and this and everything until you have 100-pound dude on top of you, like tiny little dude on top of you, holding you down, just owning you. And you're like, how in the hell is that even? It's not even possible because I weigh 3 times as much and I'm 3 times as strong. And this dude controls me. And it's like my mind, and I understand forces and vectors and basic Newtonian physics, but still my mind's going, this is a violation of physics, actually, which clearly means I don't understand physics, actually, until you feel it in your body. And when you feel it in your body, it's like the mind saying, and the body's saying, there's dissonance there, and you're like, okay, there's something I don't understand. And
There
you
isn't
never
dissonance
would have
there. You're just wrong, right? If you're in a situation where the little guy's beating the big guy, there isn't dissonance. You're just, whatever assumption you had is wrong.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying in your mind. No, what I'm saying in my mind is like, this should not be happening, but it's actually happening. And I'm telling you, there's this dissonance
Scott,
going on.
If it happens, my mind doesn't go, this should not be happening. My mind is, oh, it happened. I accept the world happens the way it happens, and I accept that. Now, the question I have to figure out is, do I understand what happened? No, I got to figure it out.
Yeah, no, I got that.
I don't get stuck in this idea that this shouldn't be happening. That doesn't happen to me.
Okay, maybe it doesn't happen to you, but let me tell you, it happens to every other person I've ever talked to that's done jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, and they're not. Then basically, they don't really understand how the world works. The world works the way the world works. You are not going to go in there and have something happen, and you see it happen. You experience it happening. You know it's happening, and then you say, "Well, it shouldn't happen that way." And Chris, it happened that way. It's just the way the world works.
That's called ego, Chris. That's what jiu-jitsu does. It helps reduce the ego.
What ego? It happened. What happens. The little guy beats the big guy. Okay, obviously there's factors in there that I didn't consider. Okay, good.
Yeah, but most people don't do that. Most people, it takes time. It takes at least 3 to 5 reps to go through that, to like let that lesson sink in. Some people never get it, but even the smartest people, it takes a few cycles to get that in. And I'm telling you, if you had the experience, you'd have the same damn experience, because you're overconfident in your ability.
I am overconfident in my ability, but not only am I overconfident in my ability, I also have high ability. So it's a mix. The problem is I have high ability, so I have confidence, and then how much of that confidence is confidence beyond my ability, right?
Yeah, right. Which is ego, and we all have it, right?
Sure.
My hunch is you might have it less than me, or you might have it more. I don't know exactly.
But Scott, so what I'm getting at is I don't think. I'm going to be careful how I say this, because I don't think the learning ability of people differs. Well, no, I can't say that. So I think everyone's got a learning capability.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are better at learning physically. Some people are better at learning by reading, by seeing, by experience. There's different ways that people learn, right?
Yeah.
And I would say that you might get a person who learns better by doing, because that is the way they're wired to do that. I don't think doing it physically means that everyone is going, by building, everyone is going to learn faster. I think what happens is the general rule is if you teach people a specific skill set, you'll get faster towards an outcome that you want, a good goal. I'm going to teach you all how to rivet so we can make, airplanes or ships, right? Yeah. So now you all know how to rivet. You don't know all the physics. You don't understand everything behind it, but you understand what it is, how it works, and you understand you can get me an output that I can work with.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that is faster towards a goal. It's not faster learning. So now some guy who's theoretical and understands his mind might just tell him, you pick up this thing, you boom, and you got to rivet, and the guy is able to do it without ever doing it before. Other people, you're going to have to get them to do it 10, 20, 100 times, right?
Yeah, right.
So everyone's ability to learn is different. And I think the way they learn will impact how fast they learn. But I don't think you can just make a general statement that building things makes you learn faster. And that, again, is the thing I'm arguing.
Okay, so there might be cases where that's not true. But certainly for me and the vast bulk of people, I think it's absolutely true. Because every SEAL training, they do that. They teach the concept, and then they go, now go do. Sure. It's called an evolution, right? And so my thought is, and every high-performing group of people, they all train in exactly the same way. So that just is a little bit other data point.
We were talking about the average person a moment ago. Now you're talking about high performers. Go back to the average.
Okay, but they train. This is how they train high performers to do it, which I'm going to extrapolate means that it would probably still work on every single person, or the average person.
I think you're flawed in that logic, because I think if it did work, we would do it with everyone.
Well, that's why our school system is so jacked up, because we're not doing it. That's why our school system we're getting dumber and dumber.
Yeah, but there's a lot of other factors in that too, right?
Well,
I mean,
yeah, but we're not doing hands-on actually.
so
I
so
mean,
so so let's look at all of our thinkers in the past. If you want to do
yeah,
that, you can talk about your Newtons and all that sort of thing. A lot of what they did was outright. They were in their heads, right? So they built. They thought they knew how the world worked, and they built that out. Now, some
yeah.
of them went off and did experiments and found evidence, right?
Everyone did
Darwin,
experiments.
Darwin was kind of the other way around, right? He saw all these species that were out there, and he came up with the idea that species change over time by finding pockets of species in different areas of the world that didn't develop and other ones that did, right? So he came up with his origin of species actually from evidence. So he kind of came from the bottom up.
Yeah.
Maybe he had the thought. I don't know if he had the thought or not. There's a lot of value in just taking a bunch of information and looking at it all and go, oh, here's the thing, right? There's a lot.
Well, that's
There's
the
a lot
essence
of value in
science.
that.
That's how
But
we
I
start.
really think that what you'll find is when you have people who do start with the intellectual side, they tend to go top down. It's like, I
Well,
got an idea. And this is where I think scientific theory really came from. I got an idea. I don't know if
no,
it's
no,
real.
no, no. It didn't start there, Chris. Where it starts from is observing, and then they're like, "Oh, I think I got an idea," and then they build an
Okay,
experiment to test it.
admittedly. But it could be observing 15 things. It could be observing one
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah,
But the idea is, here's a thought. Now I got to prove it. So quite
yeah,
often when you're working from the bottom up, you've got 1,000 experiences to work from. You can build a theory off of that, and you've got real life experience,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Now the next step would be to go to scientific method if you were that kind of person. But the average person isn't that kind of person.
No,
But I think what ends up happening with the scientists is they see something, they theorize something, they think of something, and they go, huh. Is this idea real? And
yeah,
then they work down to your area
yeah,
to prove
yeah.
it, right?
You
They
can
work
definitely do
down
it
to the
both ways.
physics.
Yeah,
They work down to the physics instead of up from the physics. They work
yeah,
down to the physics and then come back up.
yeah.
Whereas I think the average person just learns through experience. They work from the physics up.
And
But
I
the
think you
problem is
got
when
to
you
do
work
it
from the
both.
physics up, you're not trained to that higher level thinking across these things. So a lot of people never go beyond a certain level in their thinking, even though they're very knowledgeable and very experienced people, right?
Yeah,
Wisdom is about having a lot of experience and knowledge over time, and then being able to see trends across them. That's
yeah.
wisdom, right?
Right.
Intelligence is more about knowing things and then kind of work. Maybe that's it. We're talking like wisdom. Hands-on experience is wisdom,
Yeah.
and learning things. I don't want learning.
It's applied knowledge. It's knowledge and wisdom are different. Like I knowledge is facts, but then wisdom is how to make those
But
facts
yes,
actually work.
but intelligence is knowledge in what?
Well, if you want to do an IQ test, ultimately the end result of an IQ test is how fast can you see patterns. That's all.
We're not talking IQ test. I'm talking about wisdom versus intelligence.
But intelligence is IQ, right?
Yes, the way the
Are
West.
close enough.
The way the West currently defines it. I don't think it's a good definition.
That's
but yes.
fine, but close enough. It's and ultimately I'm defining that as how fast can you see patterns? How fast can you connect the
it's a
dots?
very biased test. So, but
Fine.
so
Fine.
so if I think of the intellectual versus the doer,
Yeah.
I think this focuses on intelligence.
Yeah.
This focuses on wisdom,
Yeah.
experience.
Right. Fine.
and then what you're arguing they need to come together in the middle.
They need to come. You must do both, and you must be able to go
Is
back
that
and
why
forth.
implementation fails? Because you've got intellects trying to be wise.
Yeah, because no, exactly. That's called ego. They think they know and they don't.
Oh no, you're saying that they think they have the answer. I don't think they necessarily think they have the answer. They just don't. They don't ask. They don't know how to ask a question.
Well, they think they're so. You talk about the
You're applying ego as the definition. I think sometimes it's just like, no, they're not good at it. They're not saying I know how to do it. They're saying we need to do this.
I guess it depends on which one you talk to, but ego is a problem for everybody. That's the
Yeah. So everyone's got an ego, and ego gets in the way. I'm not going to talk about that. But when you're talking about ego, as in someone allows it to control them to the point where they actually make bad decisions in that sense, I think in many ways you could have the perfect intellectual who's trying to figure out how to do something, and they could be as considerate as possible, but they just don't know. They don't have the wisdom to be able to understand.
Yeah, right. And as long as they can articulate that, that's fine, actually. But here's the
But
problem.
that's why you rely on experts. It's like, I don't. This is not my field. I need a person to do this outcome.
Yes.
Go make it happen.
See, that's good. That is moving more towards the whys, which is very good, actually.
And that to me though that's what a good project manager does. That's what
Yes,
someone who
right,
knows,
right.
who understands implementation. In fact, a project manager may not be the intellectual, and may not be the implementer.
Right,
It may not be the wise one, but they're the person who can have that conversation.
Here's the challenge that I have. Here's the problem, right? This is the insidious part of it. The ego happens before all the logic and critical thinking is in the prefrontal cortex, right? That's the part. The problem is the ego is before that. So the intellect can't even see it. That's the danger with ego. You can't see it.
So I always wonder, what are the things that I don't see? Because generally, if I go over the things that I do see, like I'm not physically that strong. Right. So if I have any kind of a feeling like, oh, I'm feeling good today, I'm feeling strong today, it's like, okay, where I can question that because I know, right? But when one of the things that happens quite often is I know there are people that are smarter than me, but I know that the most people I would consider not smarter than me.
Yeah, right.
General intellect. I mean, there are people who know a hell of a lot more than me that maybe don't have the same intellect, but they know their crap. And so what ends up happening is I end up often downplaying others. Because I assume that I'm maybe not the smartest person in the room, but I'm on the smarter side of the people in the room.
You definitely are. There's no doubt, and so am I. Right.
But what does that mean when I walk into a room? What's my default opinion of people in the room?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So
that's the
whenever
ego
I walk
part.
into
That's the ego.
So whenever I walk, that's an ego part that I can recognize.
Well, that's good though. So at least you have a chance of protecting against it.
So the real thing with my ego, whenever you call me out on ego, and the problem that I have is like, but I think about that. But I think about that. But I think the problem that we've got is I don't know the things that I don't think about.
That's the problem. That's the thing that I'm calling out. See, I never call you out on your ego.
Oh, you call me out on stuff all the time that I think that I'm very self-aware of. Therefore, I don't think therefore I discount a lot of your attacks.
Yeah, and I don't think I think you know, but you don't actually know. Now, it could be that I'm totally misreading it. I'm sure it's a combination of those. Absolutely.
But I think I think the strength of your claim, your Steelman argument claim would be the problem is there's some aspect of what we're talking about in this scenario that you're not recognizing. And you, Scott, you say, I don't know what that is because I don't know you. I don't know inside your head well enough.
Yeah.
But there's some aspect of this that you don't know how to question yet.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So I think that's the argument you need to make when you're attacking my ego, because then I can't defend that. I was like, my defense is, I know myself. I'm very self-aware. I understand that. I question that. Blah 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 blah. Right, and obviously there's ego in that too. But the concept here is, I think when you want to get to the point where I can't defend is like, but there's an element in this argument that you're not able to even recognize, and I can't help you because I can't even define it.
Well, yeah, and I tell you that all the time, and you're like, no, that's not true.
No, the stuff you tend to tell me is the stuff that I have already thought through, and therefore I don't give it. I don't give your argument that as much weight as you think I should.
But just because you've thought it through doesn't mean you know the answer. You may, in fact, it could be even worse, because here's the more dangerous thing: is you think you know and you don't know. That's the most dangerous position.
It's very dangerous. But Scott, through experience, I tend to find that I've thought levels of depth higher than most people. So what ends up happening is when I get called on something that is like, oh crap, I missed that. Or, oh my God, where did that come from? Or I didn't even see that, right?
Yeah, right.
They take me a little while to get over, but they don't take me a long time. They take me 20, 30 minutes to reassess that and to rebuild my understanding.
Well, I find great joy in that.
They don't take me days or anything.
I find great joy in that because I'm like, oh my God, I just learned something, right?
Yeah, no,
now I'm more capable.
But the point is like, if you've mapped your understanding of yourself pretty well, you can incorporate that change pretty quickly.
Oh, I incorporate it in seconds, like instantly.
Right? So the idea I incorporated in seconds, the actual how does it play out to everything, sometimes takes me longer.
Oh, but see, I've trained myself to do that. This is what Jiu-Jitsu trains you to do. I've spent years, hundreds of hours rolling around on the mat. So since I've trained so much in that area, it's like I can do it really fast.
Yeah, no, I get that. You know, one of my favorite things though is when in the middle of your argument, in our argument, I change my mind in the middle of the argument.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, that's fine to do. It kind of annoys
I know
me a
it's
little
fun
bit.
to do. It's like
Yeah,
we're
it's
arguing,
fine.
blah blah blah, and I go, wait, oh, and then I change my mind. Oh,
Because you get
okay,
new
yeah,
data. Because you're like, oh, I didn't see it from that way, or I got a new piece of
yeah,
data, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Or you make a connection that you didn't have before.
yeah.
Yep.
So yeah. So anyways, Chris, I got to wrap this up because I got to build my robot.
Go build your robot. That's cool. So you're gonna be out here next week?
Yeah, I don't know if we can connect or not because I'm just going out just for. I'm flying in. I'm going to be in Orange County. I think, or am I staying at some hotel? And then, but I'm getting in probably late. And then we have a meeting all Wednesday. And then I like fly out at like 6:30 or something on Thursday morning.
All right. Well, let me know what
Yeah,
your schedule
if
like.
you're up for dinner, if I'm available or something, maybe that might
Yeah, if you have
work
time,
a
let me
little
know. I got to see what's going on. My weeks have gotten crazy, but maybe we can get together. I mean, it'd be cool.
Yeah. I'll see if my plane lands on time on Tuesday. I'm sort of kind of expecting that I'll be in much later.
They're saying by next weekend, 10% of flights will be canceled.
Oh my gosh. So theoretically, I should be landing at Orange County Airport at 6:30 on Tuesday. So I don't know if you'd be open on that. That's probably the only time I'll have available, actually.
Let me double check and make sure I got nothing going on. If I do, we can get together.
And that's if like there's a bunch of ifs that I don't know.
I get it. Yeah, I mean, you might just be wasted at the end of the flight too.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Yeah, because that'll be like 8:30 my time, and I normally go to bed at like 9. So I may just want to like go back to my hotel room and just go to bed or something. So
especially if you're getting ready for a big meeting. All right, everyone, we didn't get very far in our topics today, but
I think this is an important thing, though. This is an important thing. Again, this just shows the group how far behind you are in intellect from me. And that
are you blaming the group for being behind in intellect? What's wrong with you?
I'm demonstrating to the group just how far behind you are, actually. And so please leave comments. Tell us that we're both idiots. We love that. That's my favorite comment is what idiots were. But please, if you leave a comment and tell us we're idiots, at least don't be an idiot about the idiot comment. At least have some critical thinking behind it.
Try to point something out. Give us a sentence explaining your what you're bringing up, what aspect you're bringing up.
Yeah.
And I noticed that quite often there's comments about the guy in the blue shirt, and that's usually Scott.
Exactly. Always blue shirts. Yeah, exactly.
You can say the guy in the hat or the guy in the blue shirt, right?
Yeah, whatever. Okay. All right, Chris.
Anyways,
let's wrap it up.
Let's go ahead and hit stop, subscribe, like, all that kind of stuff.